The moment you found this message, something shifted. Maybe you were just scrolling. Maybe you weren't even looking for anything spiritual. Maybe you were tired, distracted, or thinking about something completely different. And yet, somehow, you stopped here. That is not random. Because there are moments in life when the universe becomes quiet, and then suddenly sends a signal so strong that ignoring it could change everything. Right now, this is one of those moments. Take a slow breath for a second. Because what you are about to hear is not ordinary motivation, not entertainment, and not just another video passing through your day. This is a message that many people will scroll past, but the few who stay until the end will realize why they were meant to hear it today. And if your heart started beating a little faster the moment you read the title, that feeling was not an accident. There is urgency around you right now. Not panic. Not fear. But urgency. Because according to the spiritual signs appearing around you lately, a powerful shift is approaching your life. A moment that could either protect you, or leave you wishing you had listened sooner. And the message connected to this moment comes from one of the most powerful spiritual guardians known across history. Archangel Michael. Across centuries, people have described Michael as the protector, the defender. The warrior of light who steps in when someone's path is about to face danger, confusion, or a life-changing turning point. But Michael rarely interrupts someone's life unless something truly important is about to happen. And right now, the signal being sent to you is urgent. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. Think about the last few days of your life. Have you noticed strange coincidences? Moments where something almost happened, but didn't? Times when you felt a sudden urge to stop, pause, rethink, or delay something. Maybe you brushed it off. Maybe you thought it was just stress, intuition, or coincidence. But what if those moments were actually early warnings? Because when a major shift approaches someone's life, the spiritual world does something fascinating. It starts sending small signs first. Little whispers. Tiny interruptions. Almost like someone gently knocking on the door of your awareness. But when those whispers are ignored, the message becomes louder. And that is exactly what this moment is. A louder message. Because something important is moving toward your life path right now, and if you understand it early, it can become protection instead of pain. But if ignored, it could turn into a lesson you never wanted to experience. Listen carefully. This is not about fear. It's about awareness. There are people watching this right now who have felt uneasy lately without knowing why. A strange heaviness in the air. An unexpected feeling that something is about to change. Maybe you woke up one morning recently with a feeling you couldn't explain. Maybe you had a dream that stayed in your mind longer than usual. Or maybe you suddenly started thinking about someone, or something, you had not thought about in years. These moments are rarely random. Sometimes they appear when your life is approaching a crossroads. And Archangel Michael is known to appear at crossroads. Moments where a single decision, a single action, or a single delay could change the direction of someone's future. Right now, you are closer to one of those crossroads than you realize. And that is why you are hearing this message today. Because the biggest tragedies in life rarely begin as tragedies. They begin as small moments where someone ignored a warning. A small decision. A small delay. A small, "I'll do it later." And later becomes the moment people wish they could return to. But here is the powerful part of this message. You still have time. That is why you are hearing this now. Michael does not warn people after the door closes. The warning comes while the door is still open. And the fact that you are listening right now means the door is still open for you. But you must stay with this message. Because in the next few minutes, something will become clear to you. Something about your life, your choices, and a situation approaching you that may not be what it appears to be. There is a pattern forming around you. And once you see that pattern, everything begins to make sense. But first you need to understand something very important about the way spiritual protection works. Protection rarely arrives by physically stopping events. Instead, protection arrives as awareness. A thought that suddenly appears in your mind. A feeling that tells you to slow down. A message that reaches you at the exact moment you needed to hear it. Just like this one. And if you think about it honestly, something in your life lately has already tried to get your attention. Maybe it was a decision you felt unsure about. Maybe it was a person whose energy suddenly felt different. Maybe it was a plan that looked perfect, but something inside you kept whispering, "Wait." Those whispers are never meaningless. Especially when they start repeating. Because repetition is one of the ways the spiritual world signals urgency. And right now, the signal around you is repeating. Which means something important is approaching faster than expected. But here is the part many people misunderstand. The approaching moment is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to wake you up. And sometimes the biggest protection in life comes not from avoiding a moment, but from being fully aware when it arrives. Because awareness changes everything. A person who walks into a storm unaware gets lost. But a person who sees the storm coming prepares. They move differently. They choose differently. They protect themselves differently. And suddenly, what could have been a disaster becomes a moment of strength. This message is that moment of preparation. Because there is something happening behind the scenes of your life that you have not fully noticed yet. A shift. A hidden turning point. And Archangel Michael's message is not simply, "Be afraid." The message is much deeper. It is this. Slow down. Look carefully at the choices directly in front of you. Especially the ones that seem harmless. Because sometimes the biggest mistakes in life arrive disguised as normal moments. A casual conversation. A quick decision. A plan that feels exciting but rushed. And when those moments arrive, awareness becomes your shield. Michael's energy has always been associated with truth. Seeing clearly. Cutting through confusion. And right now, clarity is exactly what you need. Because something in your life may not be exactly what it appears to be on the surface. It may look ordinary. But underneath, it carries consequences that could affect your future. This is why the message is urgent. Not because something terrible is guaranteed, but because awareness right now can prevent regret later. And in the next part of this message, something surprising will begin to reveal itself. A pattern that many people never notice until it is too late. A pattern connected to the exact moment before major life shifts happen. When you recognize that pattern, you will understand why this message reached you today, and why ignoring it could lead to tears later. But listening carefully could change everything. Something strange happens right before a major turning point enters someone's life. At first, everything looks normal. The days move the same way. Conversations sound the same. People behave the same. But beneath the surface, subtle signals begin appearing. Signals most people ignore. And this is exactly where many life stories change forever. Because the spiritual world rarely screams warnings. It whispers them. The problem is, in today's world, whispers are easy to miss. Noise surrounds us. Notifications. Endless scrolling. Distractions that keep the mind busy but the soul completely silent. And when the soul becomes silent, the warnings pass unnoticed. But you are not here by accident. Which means your awareness is already waking up. And when awareness wakes up, something fascinating begins to happen. You start remembering things. Moments that felt small, suddenly begin to make sense. Think carefully. A calm but firm inner voice that says, slow down. Look again. Pay attention. And right now, that voice is trying to reach you. Not to scare you, but to protect you. Because the message connected to you today carries a powerful truth. Not every door that opens is meant for you to walk through immediately. Some doors open as tests. Tests of patience. Tests of awareness. Tests that reveal who is truly paying attention to their own life. And people who pass those tests experience something extraordinary. They avoid the storms others walk directly into. Now listen carefully to this part. Because this is where the message becomes even more important. There are moments in life when everything feels slightly rushed. Decisions suddenly need to happen quickly. People around you may push you to act fast. You may even feel pressure to respond immediately to something. But here is something very few people realize. Urgency in the outside world is not always the same as urgency in the spiritual world. Sometimes, the fastest decision is the most dangerous one. And sometimes, the safest decision is simply to pause. To observe. To listen to that quiet voice inside you before taking the next step. Right now, there may be a situation approaching your life that carries this exact kind of pressure. A moment where acting quickly may seem like the obvious choice. But the message being sent to you today is asking for something different. Pause. Not forever. Just long enough to see clearly. Because when people pause, something amazing happens. The truth begins to reveal itself. Hidden intentions become visible. Energy around certain people begins to feel different. And the path that once looked confusing suddenly becomes obvious. That is why awareness is protection. But there is another layer to this message that you must understand. The approaching shift in your life is not only about a decision. It is also about people. Yes, people. Because many life-changing moments arrive through someone else. A conversation. A promise. An invitation. A partnership. And sometimes, the wrong connection at the wrong moment creates the biggest regrets. But the right awareness at the right moment can protect your future in ways you cannot even imagine yet. So ask yourself honestly for a moment. Is there someone recently who suddenly appeared in your life? Someone who entered your world quickly, maybe even unexpectedly? Or someone from the past who suddenly returned without warning? Pay attention to that. Because when spiritual warnings appear, they are often connected to relationships. Not always negative. But sometimes revealing. Sometimes a person enters your life to teach you something. Sometimes to help you grow. And sometimes to test whether you are truly listening to your own intuition. Archangel Michael is known as a guardian of truth. And truth has a strange way of revealing itself right before important decisions. Little contradictions appear. Small behaviors start making more sense. And suddenly, what once looked perfect begins to show its real nature. That moment of realization is powerful. But it only happens for people who are paying attention. Right now, you are being asked to pay attention. Look closely at the energy around you. Look closely at your choices. Look closely at the timing of things happening in your life. Because timing tells stories most people never notice. If something feels rushed, ask why. If something feels too perfect, ask why. If someone pushes you to decide immediately, ask why. Not with fear, but with awareness. And the more aware you become, the more protection naturally appears around you. But here is something even more powerful. When Archangel Michael sends a message like this, it means you are not alone in the situation approaching your life. Protection is already surrounding you. But protection works best when the person being protected is awake. And right now, you are waking up. Your awareness is sharpening. Your instincts are becoming clearer. And that is exactly what this message was meant to activate. Because the moment that could have caused regret in your life, may instead become the moment you avoided something that would have hurt you deeply. Imagine looking back weeks from now and realizing, if I had not slowed down, I would have made a huge mistake. That realization alone can change the direction of someone's future. And that is the kind of protection many people pray for without realizing it. But the message is not finished yet. Because there is still something you must understand about the coming shift. A detail that most people completely overlook. A detail connected to a specific sign that appears before life-changing moments.